Dr. Awad, what do you make of that? Do you see a joint declaration coming in, where the Delhi Declaration comes into question?
Well, I think India has been pressing hard to make sure that there is a comprehensive agreement in most of the staking issues and pertaining issues that affecting the humanity and the world, whether it is in the development, sustainable development, whether it is in the IT, whether it is in the financial sector. But I think two issues which has attracted me in this meeting currently, maybe the joint communique on Russia-Ukraine may not be on the table because there are lots of differences, and since they introduced a political issue into the discussion, that's what made it very difficult for the G20 to discuss issues related to economy and trades. So having said that, I would say that the joint communique is still too early to suggest whether it will come up or no, but my take on this that today is the 21 salute, we can say, of the gunshots that India have created, one by adding the African Union into this G20 one now, and also the earthquake in Morocco, where the Prime Minister of India has also sent his condolences and extended help to them. That clearly shows the importance of dealing with the natural disaster to deal for a humanity rather than searching for a conflict issues and finding way of differences. I think what India is trying to give to the world an image that let us sit down across the table, find solution. There is no good war or bad wars. There is also should not be any war. In fact, let us go for development and human development.
Well, you know, you bang on there. It's G21 or the 21 gun salute there, and India's played an important role with something. Even yesterday, there was an indication that, you know, this summit is going to be, if there is a theme, other than, of course, what India's theme of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is, that it's going to be the voice of the global south or the developing nations. And that's happened with the coming in of the African Union. But I'm going to come right back to all our guests. But on the sidelines of it all, India's grand G20 kicking off today. Prime Minister Modi welcomed world leaders at the Bharat Mandabam to the G20 summit. He did welcome a host of world leaders, including US President Joe Biden, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, Chinese Premier Li Qiang, Australian Prime Minister Albanese, amongst many, many other leaders. The World Bank Chief Ajay Banga, UN Secretary General Antonio, IMF Chief Kristalina were all amongst the first to arrive at the newly built venue in Pragati Maidan. All of that you know, the optics that you see on your television screen a short while ago. While pitching for Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Prime Minister Modi stated how India seeks to bring the world together and that human-centric Vikas is the need of the hour. Day one of the summit will witness various sessions, primarily divided in what is, you know, the theme of the G20 summit, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, One Earth, One Family, One Future. 3 sessions, one of them has just concluded. On the sidelines of it all, of course, will be bilaterals, which some of them are taking place as I speak. All of this, where the national capital sees itself as the biggest global playground, with leaders who are coming in to discuss issues ranging in from climate change to economy to geopolitical conflict.
ये वो समय है जब बरसों पुरानी चुनौतियां हमसे नए समाधान मांग रही हैं, और इसलिए हमें ह्यूमन सेंट्रिक अप्रोच के साथ अपने हर दायित्व को निभाते हुए ही आगे बढ़ना है। युद्ध ने इस ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट को और गहरा किया है। जब हम कोविड को हरा सकते हैं, तो हम आपसी विश्वास पर आए इस संकट पर भी विजय प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। आज G20 के प्रेसिडेंट के तौर पर भारत पूरी दुनिया का आह्वान करता है कि हम मिलकर सबसे पहले इस ग्लोबल ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट को एक विश्वास, एक भरोसे में बदलें। यह हम सभी के साथ मिलकर चलने का समय है, और इसलिए सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास, सबका प्रयास का मंत्र हम सभी के लिए एक पथ प्रदर्शक बन सकता है।
All right, so let's take it further. What has been the biggest achievement? And I would reckon one of the biggest achievements till now, where the G20 summits, over the course of its history is concerned, is the introduction into the G20 summit, which many are calling the G21 come salute, is the introduction of the African Union. No longer G20, G21. Once again, let's cut across to our guest. Gaurav Sawant, Managing Editor, continues to be with us. And Gaurav, joining us right now is also Azali Assoumani, Ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti. Congratulations, Ambassador. It's a big move, and something, which I would reckon all of us need to be proud of, considering that by the end of it, we can walk out of the G20 where, if there is a global theme to it, it is also the voice of the developing nations.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. It is certainly a proud action and a proud feeling that we have. And it is a commendable action that India has done. And we are ready to work together. As long as India and African countries are issues from the South. Thank you for India and Prime Minister Modi to be the voice of the global South. And this is the successful action that has been taken today. It's a great achievement. Thank you very much.
Ultimately, Ambassador, with what was India's endeavor to bring in the African Union, there were pitfalls, Gaurav. I will bring you into this conversation. There could have been dissent by China, but how well India has maneuvered the diplomatic minefield and practically changed the course of what has been the G20 summit, where history is concerned.
Well, first of all, we have to understand that...
Preeti, you're absolutely right.
Go ahead, Ambassador, go ahead. I'll cut across to my colleague later. Go ahead, sir.
My apologies.
Go ahead, Ambassador.
My apology. Honor to
No. Ambassador, go ahead.
Thank you very much. So, first, we have to understand that the world is now becoming interdependent. And this interdependence has brought people to go together. Despite the national interest, we have also global interest. And despite each country's national interest, so there is the global interest and this is the regional interest. And that's why we gather all together in institutions like the G20 or the UN or the European Union or the ASEAN. I've seen that India and China are part of the BRICS. And despite the national interest of each of other, diplomacy is commanding us to act collectively for the safe interest of the world. And I believe certainly that India is acting for one future, one world, one environment. And this is how India has taken the step to integrate African Union and Africa in the G20. And African Union is certainly a very important actor as the 8th economy in the world and as the most populated continent in the world. And this is how good work can be done by the collaboration of India and Africa, and to see the world how this collaboration can bring an additional wellness to the world.
Well, Ambassador, I just want to bring in our managing editor as well into this conversation. Gaurav, history will remember well India's role of getting in the African Union. And, you know best how explosive that diplomatic minefield was.
Seen that India...
It indeed was.
Gaurav,
both
one
India
second.
and China,
we have the ambassador here. He wants to answer. Let him take this question. And after the ambassador, I'm going to come back to Gaurav. Go ahead, ambassador. Go ahead, sir.
Sorry.
No, sir. Go ahead. Like I said, you quoted our theme of Vasudevai Kutum. You're our guest. Go ahead, and I'll cut across to Gaurav Sawant after you.
Oh, my goodness. Sorry, Mr. Gaurav. I have made a mistake. I just wanted to say that India has achieved a tremendous and tremendous action, and is actually negotiating very important achievement and contract regarding the collaboration with the US, the collaboration with all over the world regarding the air navigation system, regarding the linking Emirates and India together. So there are a lot of topics on the table, and I'm sure that India will be successful on this. Thank you very much. Sorry, Mr. Gaurav.
No problem, sir. I appreciate you for joining us. Thank you, Ambassador, for there. And let's look forward to a new chapter and scripting it together, sir, as countries. Appreciate you joining us, Ambassador. All right, Gaurav, coming back to you now. All right, okay, Gaurav, I'm sorry I'm coming in again because visuals coming in, Gaurav. You might want to take us through that, where you're standing. The French president has just reached the Bharat Mandapam, and those visuals of Emmanuel Macron being taken in, coming in live as I speak, and the bilateral right now on the sidelines going on between the Indian Prime Minister and the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Gaurav, the French president, where you are, the Bharat Mandapam.
In fact, straight from the airport, he's headed straight to the Bharat Mandapam. He will be meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi, but that one-on-one is a working lunch tomorrow. Today, he'll be a part of this second session. Again, a very, very important session between 3 and 5:30 p.m. Where they'll talk about They've talked about the problems that they're facing. They're talking about the solutions, the road ahead. Again, Europe, to a very large extent, the G7 countries, the NATO alliance countries, they're on one page, and they are very keen that they are able to get their point across in that final communique when it comes to Russia-Ukraine conflict. And India's point is that this is a platform where, yes, as far as food, fertilizers, the problems that the world is facing, the solutions that need to be found, that needs to be incorporated. But this shouldn't become a platform for name calling, because that actually serves no purpose. The aim is to find a solution to the problem, have a roadmap to that solution, and this is where very intense negotiations are taking place, initially at the level of officials, the Sherpas, the diplomats, and now at the level of the heads of state and government. So those negotiations are very important. Tomorrow, when the bilateral happens, which is equally important, if not more, it's about taking India-France relationship again forward. The Prime Minister was in France for the Bastille Day parade. A lot of conversation happened then. Now the talk is, how do you take it? You review whatever progress has been made. Wherever progress hasn't been made, you look at ways of making that progress, and then he heads to Bangladesh, the French president. That again is a relationship that is being forged very closely in this area. But the ambassador to Djibouti gave you a very important point, Preeti. While we're talking about takeaways from this G20, one takeaway is African Union being a part of G20 now. The other takeaway is the Prime Minister's big message on removing trust deficit and building trust. The third big takeaway, and that's also huge, is the United States, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates and India coming together for that rail port link. Now that promises to be a game changer and a counter to to the expansionist forces of this region. It's an American proposal moving forward at a very rapid pace, and should that happen in 2 hours from now, that will be a game changer in democratizing the world in dealing with expansionist forces.
Well, you're right there, especially where China comes into the question, the role of China. Gaurav, you're going to come and, of course, take it up in 2 hours from now. All eyes on that. But these visuals, Gaurav, as I speak, coming in of the French president entering the Bharat Mandapam. Of course, he will be received there, I doubt, by the Prime Minister, Gaurav, because the Prime Minister locked into back-to-back meetings where it comes down to the bilateral window, and a very short bilateral window that the Prime Minister has. So he's right now tied in conversation with the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, but visuals of the French president also touching down, entering the Bharat Mandapam there.